I was standing in the hallway outside my own bedroom when I heard my daughter-in-law say the words that would change everything. She's stubborn, but with her heart condition, one fall down the stairs and they'll rule it natural causes. Then we get it all: the house, the trust fund, everything. Her voice was casual, like she was discussing dinner plans, not my murder. My hand trembled against the wall. This was Sophia, the woman my son David had married just 8 months after my daughter Rebecca died. The nurse practitioner who had moved into my Florida home to help take care of me after my last cardiac episode. The woman who had been managing my medications for the past 3 months. The pills. Oh God, the pills. I backed away slowly, my heart pounding in a way that had nothing to do with my condition. Every instinct in my 35 years as a nurse screamed at me that something was wrong. I had been feeling increasingly dizzy, confused, sleeping 14 hours a day. My doctor kept adjusting my medications, but nothing helped. Now I knew why. Let me back up. I'm Margaret Chen, 70 years old, and until 6 months ago, I thought I knew what grief looked like. I had lost my husband Paul 15 years earlier to cancer. That pain nearly destroyed me, but we had Rebecca, our brilliant daughter who became an architect, who married David, who gave us our beautiful grandson Kevin. Rebecca was my whole world. Then came the car accident. A rainy Tuesday evening, Rebecca driving home from a client meeting. The police said she lost control on a curve. Her car went off the road, hit a tree. She died instantly. David was devastated. Kevin was 13 and stopped talking for weeks. I held them both together while shattering inside. 3 months after Rebecca's funeral, David met Sophia at a grief support group. She was a nurse practitioner, she said, who had lost her husband to a sudden heart attack. She understood David's pain. She was there for him. They started dating immediately, and honestly, I was glad. David needed someone. Kevin needed stability. I thought Sophia was a blessing. They married quickly, a small ceremony just 5 months after Rebecca's death. Too fast, my friend Linda said. Red flag, she warned. But I silenced my doubts. People grieve differently. David deserved happiness. I welcomed Sophia into our family with open arms. That was my first mistake. The second was when I had my cardiac event 3 months ago. Just a minor incident, the doctors said, but it scared me. I had been living alone in the house Paul and I bought 40 years ago, a beautiful 4-bedroom home in a quiet Florida neighborhood. David and Sophia lived 20 minutes away. When Sophia suggested she move in to help, to manage my medications, to make sure I took care of myself, I agreed. It made sense. She was a medical professional. She cared about me. Or so I thought. The changes were subtle at first. Sophia reorganized my medication cabinet. She said my old system was confusing, that she would handle everything. My blood pressure pills, my heart medication, my cholesterol drugs. She arranged them all in a weekly organizer and brought them to me twice a day with a glass of water. She watched me take them. "All down, Margaret?" she would say with a smile. "Good girl." I started feeling worse instead of better. The fatigue was overwhelming. My mind felt foggy. I would forget conversations, lose track of time. My balance became unsteady. I nearly fell down the stairs twice, and each time, Sophia was right there to catch me. "You need to be more careful," she said, her hand gripping my arm. "At your age, a fall could be fatal." The way she said it made my skin crawl, but I dismissed the feeling. I was just paranoid, emotional, still grieving. Sophia was helping me. She loved David. She was good to Kevin. Except Kevin had become distant. My 15-year-old grandson used to visit me every day after school. We would bake cookies, work on puzzles, talk about Rebecca. But after Sophia moved in, his visits became sporadic. When he did come, he seemed uncomfortable, leaving quickly. I asked him once if everything was okay. "I miss Grandma," he said quietly. "I miss how things were before." "Me too, sweetheart," I told him. "Sophia says I need to move on," he continued. "She says Mom wouldn't want us living in the past. She says you're holding us back by being so needy." Needy. The word stung, but I smiled and told Kevin that Sophia was right, that we all needed to move forward. Inside, something twisted uncomfortably. That conversation happened 2 weeks ago. Since then, I had been paying closer attention. I watched how Sophia moved through my house like she owned it, how she had redecorated Rebecca's old room, packing away all the photos and memories, how she spoke to David in low tones that stopped when I entered the room, how she asked repeatedly about my will, about the trust fund Paul had left me, about my plans for the house. "You know," she said one evening over dinner, "at your age, it's important to have your affairs in order. Have you considered giving David power of attorney? Just in case something happens." "I'm 70, not dying," I replied. "Of course not." Her smile didn't reach her eyes, but with your heart condition, it's better to be prepared. "You wouldn't want Kevin to be burdened with difficult decisions." I told her I would think about it. But something in her tone, the way she pushed, made me deeply uneasy. Then came this morning. I woke up early, before dawn, needing water. My mouth was incredibly dry, and my head felt like it was stuffed with cotton. I got up slowly, carefully, and walked toward the stairs. That's when I heard Sophia's voice coming from her bedroom, talking on the phone. "No, listen to me," she was saying. "It's taking longer than I thought. She's tough, I'll give her that. But I've been increasing the dosages. The beta blockers mixed with the sedatives, plus the blood thinners. She's confused, dizzy, unsteady. All I need is one good fall." I froze in the hallway, my hand pressed against the wall for support. "How much longer?" A pause. "I don't know, maybe another week or two. Her heart is already compromised. The medications are stressing her system. And if that doesn't work, well, accidents happen. Elderly people fall downstairs all the time." Another pause. Sophia laughed softly. "Of course he doesn't know. David thinks I'm taking care of her. He's so grateful, so dependent on me. Once she's gone, I'll be the grieving daughter-in-law who did everything she could, and then it's all ours. The house is worth at least $800,000, plus there's the trust fund. Paul Chen was smart with his investments. We're looking at close to $2 million total." My vision blurred. $2 million. She was killing me for $2 million. "No, the kid is fine," Sophia continued. "Kevin is easier to manage than I expected. He misses his mom, but he's bonding with me. Once Margaret is gone, he'll have no one else. I'll be his only mother figure. He'll do whatever I say." I backed away from her door, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might actually give out. I made it back to my room and closed the door silently. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely grip the doorknob. "Think, Margaret. Think like a nurse. Think like someone who wants to survive." I looked at my nightstand where Sophia had placed my morning medications. 6 different pills in the little organizer compartment marked Monday a.m., but I knew my prescriptions. I had been taking some of these medications for years, and something about them looked wrong. I had spent 35 years working in hospitals. I knew what metoprolol looked like, what atorvastatin looked like, what lisinopril looked like. These pills in front of me were the wrong colors, the wrong shapes. With trembling fingers, I picked up my phone. It was 6 in the morning, but I didn't care. I called the one person I knew I could trust. "Linda, I need help," I whispered. "Something terrible is happening." Linda Morrison had been my best friend for 40 years. She had also been a private investigator before she retired. When I told her what I had overheard, when I described the pills, she was at my house within 30 minutes. "Don't take anything Sophia gives you," Linda warned when she arrived. She had slipped in through the back door while Sophia was still in her room. "Not one pill, you understand?" I nodded. We were in my bedroom, speaking in hushed tones. "Can you pretend to take them?" Linda asked. "Hide them? Spit them out? Something?" "I've been a nurse my whole life. I can manage." "Good. Because we need evidence, Margaret. What you overheard isn't enough. We need proof she's tampering with your medications." "How?" Linda pulled a small package from her purse. "Cameras. Tiny ones. I'm going to install them in your bathroom, your bedroom, and the kitchen. Anywhere she might be switching your pills or preparing your food. She'll see them. Not these. They're smaller than a button. Trust me." Over the next hour, while Sophia was in the shower, Linda installed 4 hidden cameras. One in my bathroom medicine cabinet, one in my bedroom bookshelf, one in the kitchen above the sink, and one in the upstairs hallway. Each one connected to an app on my phone. "Now, here's what you do," Linda said. "Take your pills like normal, but palm them. Spit them out later. Save every single one in a plastic bag. We'll have them tested. And watch the camera footage. If we can catch her on video tampering with your medications, we've got her. What about David? Should I tell him? Linda's expression softened. Not yet, honey. I know he's your son, but right now, he's too close to Sophia. If you tell him and he doesn't believe you, he might warn her. We need solid evidence first. She was right. David was so devoted to Sophia, so grateful for how she had been caring for me. If I told him his new wife was trying to kill me, he might think I was delusional, that my medications were making me confused. He might even let Sophia increase my dosages. The thought made me sick. Linda left through the back door just as I heard Sophia coming down the stairs. I climbed back into bed, arranging myself to look weak and tired. It wasn't hard. I was terrified. "Good morning, Margaret," Sophia said brightly as she entered my room with a tray. "I brought you breakfast and your medications." I looked at her, this woman who wanted me dead, and forced a smile. "Thank you, dear. You're so thoughtful." She set the tray on my lap. Orange juice, toast, and the little compartment of pills. "Make sure you take all of them," she said. "You don't want your blood pressure acting up." I nodded and reached for the pills. Under her watchful gaze, I placed them in my mouth, took a sip of orange juice, and swallowed. But I had tucked the pills under my tongue, a trick I had learned working with difficult patients. The moment Sophia turned away to adjust my curtains, I spit them into my hand and shoved them under my pillow. "All down?" Sophia asked, turning back. "All down," I lied. She smiled. "Good girl." That phrase, "good girl," like I was a dog being trained. The condescension made my blood boil, but I kept my expression neutral. Over the next 3 days, I played the role of the confused, weakening old woman. I took my pills and secretly disposed of them. I saved every single one in a plastic bag hidden in my closet. I pretended to be dizzy, to need help walking, to forget conversations. Sophia ate it up. "You're getting worse," she told David on the phone. "I heard her through the camera feed. I think we need to discuss hospice care, or maybe a nursing home. She can't stay here much longer. It's not safe." David's response was muffled, but I could imagine his worry. My sweet son, who had no idea his wife was a monster. Meanwhile, I reviewed the camera footage every night after Sophia went to bed. On the second day, I caught her. Clear as daylight, the video showed Sophia in my bathroom, opening my prescription bottles and emptying them. From her purse, she pulled out different bottles and refilled mine with pills that looked similar but weren't the same. "Gotcha," I whispered to myself. But Linda was right that we needed more. We needed to understand what Sophia had been giving me, and more importantly, we needed to know if she had done this before. Linda made some calls to contacts she still had from her PI days. Within 24 hours, she had information that made my blood run cold. "Margaret, Sophia's last name wasn't always Martinez," Linda told me over the phone. "She was married before, to a man named Robert Chen. No relation to your Paul, different Chen. Robert died 2 years ago. Heart attack. He was 65, wealthy, had a life insurance policy worth $500,000. She killed him," I said flatly. "I can't prove it, but the timing is suspicious. And get this, Robert's daughter from his first marriage tried to contest the will. She claimed Sophia had isolated her father, that his health had declined rapidly after Sophia moved in, that he had been confused and disoriented before he died. But there was no evidence of foul play, so Sophia inherited everything. She's done this before." "I think so. And Margaret, there's more. Sophia wasn't a grief support group member when she met David." I checked. That whole story about losing her husband and needing support was a lie. She targeted David. How? Rebecca's obituary was in the paper. It listed David as her husband, Kevin as her son, and you as her mother. It mentioned that Paul Chen had died 15 years earlier, that he had been an engineer with a successful career. Sophia would have seen that, would have known David was a widow with a wealthy mother-in-law. She hunted him. I felt sick. My daughter had been dead for less than a year, and this woman had used her death as a hunting ground. "We need to get her arrested," I said. "We will. But we need her to make a mistake, a big one, something undeniable." That mistake came 2 days later. It was evening, just after dinner. I was heading upstairs to my bedroom, moving slowly like I had been doing all week. Sophia was behind me, carrying a laundry basket. We were halfway up the stairs when I felt her hand on my back. "Margaret, watch your step," she said. And then she pushed. It wasn't a hard shove, but it was enough. I stumbled forward, my foot missing the next step. Time seemed to slow down as I felt myself falling. I reached for the railing, my fingers just barely catching it. The wood bit into my palm as I held on desperately, my body suspended over the stairs. "Oh my God, Margaret!" Sophia screamed. She grabbed my arm, but instead of pulling me up, she was pulling me away from the railing. "Hold on!" She was trying to make me fall. I could feel it in the angle of her grip, the way she was leveraging my weight wrong. But I had been holding myself up through transfers and patient moves for decades. My grip on that railing was iron. "Help!" I shouted. "Someone help!" "I've got you!" Sophia yelled, but she was pulling harder now, trying to break my grip. Then I heard the front door burst open. "Grandma!" It was Kevin, my 15-year-old grandson, who had stopped by unexpectedly after school. He took the stairs 3 at a time, reaching me in seconds. His young, strong hands grabbed my arms and hauled me back from the edge. "I've got you," he said, his voice shaking. "I've got you." Sophia stepped back, her face carefully arranged in shock. She just fell. I tried to catch her, but she was falling. Kevin helped me to the top of the stairs and I collapsed against the wall, gasping. My heart was racing, but this time from adrenaline, not medication. I was alive. I was okay. "Grandma, are you hurt?" Kevin asked, his hands checking me over with surprising gentleness. "I'm fine," I managed. "Thanks to you." Sophia was still at the bottom of the stairs, her phone in her hand. "I should call 911. Margaret, you could have been killed." "No," I said sharply. "No ambulance. I'm fine." I met Kevin's eyes. He had seen something. I could tell by the way he was looking at Sophia, a new wariness in his expression. "Maybe you should rest," Kevin said to me. "I'll stay with you." He helped me to my room and closed the door. For a long moment, we just sat on my bed in silence. "She pushed you," he finally said. "Didn't she?" I looked at my grandson, this boy who had lost his mother, who was watching his world fall apart again, and I knew I had to tell him the truth. "Yes," I said. "She did." I knew something was wrong. Kevin's voice cracked. "She's been so weird, so controlling. Dad is different around her. And you, Grandma, you've been getting sicker and sicker, and I thought maybe I was imagining things, but I'm not, am I?" "No, sweetheart. You're not imagining anything." I told him everything. The overheard phone call, the switched medications, the plan to make my death look like an accident, Linda's investigation revealing Sophia's past. Kevin listened, his face growing paler with each revelation. "We have to tell Dad," he said, when I finished. "Not yet. We need proof he can't deny." "The cameras," Kevin said suddenly. "Did they catch her pushing you?" We pulled up the footage on my phone. The hallway camera had captured everything. Sophia's hand on my back, the deliberate push, her attempts to pull me away from the railing while screaming for help. It was damning. "That's attempted murder," Kevin whispered. "Yes, and we have her on camera switching my medications, plus the pills I've been saving, which Linda is having tested. When the results come back showing what she's really been giving me, we'll have everything we need. So, what do we do now?" I thought about it. Sophia had just tried to kill me and failed. She would be nervous, desperate. Desperate people made mistakes. "We make her think she's winning," I said. The next morning, I stayed in bed. When Sophia brought my breakfast and medications, I was weak, barely able to lift my head. "I don't feel well," I murmured. "Everything hurts." Concern flickered across Sophia's face, but I saw the satisfaction beneath it. "You had a bad fall yesterday. Your body is probably in shock." "Maybe you were right," I continued. "Maybe I need more care than you can provide at home. Maybe it's time to think about a facility." Sophia's eyes gleamed. "I think that's very wise, Margaret. I'll talk to David about it today. There's a wonderful hospice center nearby." "Hospice? Where they expected you to die?" "Whatever you think is best," I said weakly. She practically skipped out of my room. I waited until I heard her car pull out of the driveway before getting up. Linda arrived 15 minutes later with news. The pill analysis came back, she said, her face grim. Margaret, what she's been giving you is a nightmare cocktail. Beta blockers at triple your prescribed dose, sedatives, blood thinners, and something else the lab is still identifying. It's designed to make you confused, weak, and prone to bleeding. If you had actually fallen down those stairs, you likely would have died from the head trauma. So we have her. We have her. I've already contacted the police. There's a detective who specializes in elder abuse, Detective Maria Rivera. She's good, Margaret. She lost her grandmother to a similar situation a few years ago. She wants to nail Sophia to the wall. Detective Rivera arrived that afternoon. She was a short, intense woman in her 40s, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. I showed her everything. The camera footage of Sophia switching my medications, the footage of her pushing me down the stairs, the bag of pills, the lab analysis, Linda's research on Robert Chen's death. This is one of the most clear-cut cases I've ever seen, Detective Rivera said. But I want to catch her in the act one more time. Something undeniable. Do you think you can wear a wire? Yes, I said without hesitation. Margaret, she tried to kill you yesterday. If we do this, you'll be putting yourself at risk again. She's not going to stop. Even if I go to a facility, she'll find a way. And I'm not going to let her get away with what she did to that other man, to my family. I want her caught. Detective Rivera nodded slowly. All right, but we'll have officers nearby. If anything goes wrong, we move in immediately. The next day was a Tuesday. David called to say he and Sophia would come by that evening to discuss care options for me. I knew what that meant. Sophia wanted to move me out of my house, into her control, where she could finish what she started. I spent the day preparing. The wire Detective Rivera had given me was small, taped to my chest under my shirt. Kevin was at a friend's house, safely away. Linda and Detective Rivera were in an unmarked van parked down the street, listening to everything. David and Sophia arrived at 6. My son looked tired and stressed. He hugged me carefully, like I might break. Mom, we're worried about you, he said. The fall, your confusion, Sophia says you're getting worse. I am getting worse, I agreed. Maybe Sophia is right. Maybe I need professional care. Sophia sat beside me on the couch, taking my hand. Margaret, there's a hospice facility that has an opening. We think it would be best for you. You'd be comfortable there, well cared for. How long would I have to stay? However long you need? Sophia said smoothly. Given your heart condition and the progression of your symptoms, the doctors there could make you comfortable. Comfortable? Another word for until you die. David, could you get me some water? I asked. I need to take my evening medications. My son nodded and left for the kitchen. The moment he was gone, Sophia's expression changed. The false concern evaporated, replaced with cold calculation. Let me get your pills, she said, standing up. They're upstairs in my bathroom. I know where they are. She headed up the stairs. I followed slowly, my hand resting over the wire. Detective Rivera had told me to keep Sophia talking, to get her to admit what she was doing. In my bathroom, Sophia was already pulling bottles from the medicine cabinet. She didn't know I was watching from the doorway. Those aren't my real medications, are they? I said quietly. Sophia spun around, startled. For a moment, her mask dropped completely, and I saw the monster underneath. What are you talking about? I heard your phone call, I continued. The one about making my death look like an accident. About the money. I know what you're doing. She stared at me, calculating. Then she smiled, cold and sharp. Prove it. I don't need to prove it. I just need to understand why. Why my family? Why David? Sophia laughed. Why? Because you were easy. A grieving widower with a wealthy mother-in-law who was too trusting for her own good. Do you know how simple it was to make David fall in love with me? He was so desperate for someone to tell him everything would be okay. And you, with your big heart and your stupid generosity, you welcomed me right in. You killed your first husband. Robert was a means to an end. Just like you are. Just like David will be if he gets in my way. You're a monster. I'm practical, Sophia corrected. You're old. You have money you don't need. Why shouldn't I have it? Why should it sit in a trust fund when I could be living my life? And Kevin? The kid is fine. He'll adjust. Children are resilient. I heard footsteps on the stairs. David appeared in the bathroom doorway with a glass of water, his face white. He had heard everything. "Sophia?" His voice shook. "What are you saying?" Sophia's expression flickered with panic before smoothing into false innocence. "David, she's confused. Her medications are making her delusional." "No," I said firmly. "I haven't taken the medications you've been giving me for a week. I've been saving them, having them tested. They're not what my doctor prescribed, Sophia. You've been poisoning me." "That's insane," Sophia said, but her voice was too high, too desperate. David looked at the bottles in her hand, then at me, then back at Sophia. "Show me," he said quietly. "Show me those pills." "David, don't be ridiculous. Show me." Sophia clutched the bottles tighter. In that moment, she made her final mistake. She lunged at me. "If you're going to ruin everything, then you're dying tonight," she snarled, her hands reaching for my throat. David grabbed her, pulling her back, and suddenly the room was full of people. Detective Rivera, 2 uniformed officers. They came up the stairs with weapons drawn. "Sophia Martinez, you're under arrest for attempted murder," Detective Rivera said, snapping handcuffs on Sophia's wrists. "You have the right to remain silent." Sophia was screaming, thrashing, shouting that I was lying, that they had no proof, that I was a bitter old woman trying to ruin her life. But her words fell on deaf ears. Detective Rivera held up the wire I had been wearing. "We have everything on tape. Your confession, your admission about Robert Chen, and your attempt to assault Mrs. Chen. It's over." They led Sophia away, still screaming. David stood frozen in the bathroom, his face a mask of horror and grief. "Dad?" Kevin had appeared in the doorway. He must have come home early. "Kevin!" David choked out. He pulled our grandson into a fierce hug. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I put my arms around both of them, and we stood there in my bathroom, holding each other while the police processed the scene below. Later that night, after the police had left, after Linda had come by to check on me, after Kevin had fallen asleep in Rebecca's old room, David and I sat in the kitchen with tea. "I should have seen it," he said, his voice raw. "I should have known. She was good at manipulation," I told him gently. "That's what predators do." "But Mom, you were getting sick and I just thought it was your age, your heart. I didn't question why you were declining so fast. I didn't protect you." "David, look at me." I waited until he met my eyes. "You were grieving. You were trying to take care of Kevin, trying to hold yourself together." Sophia took advantage of that. "This isn't your fault. How can you forgive me?" "Because you're my son. Because we're family. And because when it mattered most, when you heard the truth, you believed me. You protected me." He started crying then, deep, wrenching sobs that he had probably been holding in since Rebecca died. I held him like I had when he was a little boy, letting him grieve for the daughter he lost and the marriage that was a lie. In the days that followed, the full extent of Sophia's crimes came to light. The police reopened Robert Chen's case and found evidence that Sophia had been slowly poisoning him with digitalis, a medication that mimics heart attack symptoms. His daughter finally got justice for her father. They discovered that Sophia had done this twice before, to elderly men she had met through dating websites. Both cases had been ruled natural causes, but now they were being reinvestigated. Sophia Martinez, they learned, wasn't even her real name. She was Patricia Simmons, a former pharmaceutical sales representative who had lost her license for stealing medication samples. She had been running this con for nearly a decade. The trial was swift. With the recorded confession, the camera footage, the medication evidence, and the reopened cases, Sophia, or Patricia, didn't stand a chance. She was sentenced to life in prison without parole for Robert Chen's murder, with additional sentences for the attempted murder of me and fraud charges from the other cases. David threw himself into therapy. He and Kevin both did, working through their trauma, rebuilding their relationship. It was slow, painful work, but they were doing it together. As for me, I got my medications sorted out properly. Within 2 weeks of stopping Sophia's poison cocktail, I felt better than I had in months. My mind cleared. My energy returned. I was still 70 with a heart condition, but I wasn't dying anymore. Kevin started coming by every day again. We would bake Rebecca's favorite cookies and talk about her, remembering the good times without the crushing weight of immediate grief. David joined us sometimes, and slowly, carefully, we became a family again. 6 months after Sophia's arrest, Linda and I were having coffee on my back porch. The Florida sunshine was warm, and I was feeling stronger than I had in a year. "You ever think about dating again?" Linda asked with a mischievous smile. "At 70? Please. Hey, you're not dead yet, despite someone's best efforts." I laughed. It felt good to laugh. "Seriously, though," Linda continued, "what you did took courage. Not everyone would have been able to keep it together like that, to gather evidence, to catch her in the act. I was a nurse for 35 years. I've dealt with difficult patients, life-or-death situations, and more family drama than you can imagine. Sophia was just another problem that needed solving. Well, you solved it, and you saved lives in the process. Robert's daughter thanked you, didn't she?" "She did. Said she had known something was wrong but couldn't prove it. At least now she has closure." We sat in companionable silence for a moment. "What's the lesson here?" Linda asked. "If you were telling this story to someone else, what would you want them to know?" I thought about it carefully. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't let guilt or grief or social pressure make you ignore red flags. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. And family? Family is everything. But family isn't just blood. It's the people who show up for you, who believe you, who stand by you even when things are hard. It's Kevin staying with me after the fall. It's you dropping everything to help me. It's David choosing to listen when I told him the truth. I paused, thinking about Sophia and the other predators out there who target vulnerable people. "And one more thing," I added. "If you're taking care of an elderly family member, pay attention. Notice changes in their behavior, their health, their medications. Ask questions. Be involved. Elder abuse is real, and it's more common than people think. 1 in 10 seniors experience abuse, whether it's financial, physical, or through neglect. And often the abuser is someone trusted, someone in the family." Linda raised her coffee cup. "To paying attention." "To paying attention," I echoed, clinking my cup against hers. The story could have ended differently. I could have taken those pills. I could have fallen down those stairs. I could be dead right now, and Sophia would have gotten away with it, just like she almost did with Robert Chen and those other men. But I'm not dead. I'm here, sitting on my porch in the Florida sunshine, drinking coffee with my best friend, planning to have dinner with my son and grandson tonight. We're going to make Rebecca's favorite meal, lasagna with too much cheese, and we're going to remember her with love instead of crushing grief. Life is precious. Family is precious. And sometimes, when someone tries to take that away from you, you have to fight back. Not with violence or anger, but with intelligence, courage, and the determination to protect the people you love. Sophia thought she was smart, that she had found the perfect victim. But she underestimated the strength of a 70-year-old nurse who had spent her life taking care of people. She underestimated the bond between a grandmother and her grandson. She underestimated the power of truth. And that was her biggest mistake. If you're watching this and you recognize any of these signs in your own life, if someone you love seems to be declining mysteriously, if a caregiver seems too controlling or too interested in finances, trust that feeling. Ask questions. Get help. Call the National Elder Abuse Hotline at 1-800-677-1116. It might save a life. It saved mine.